Hi, welcome to Core Corner. Core Corner is all about delving into the topic that you have specialized in, and we as public would want to know the basics of what it is. So today, thanks first of all for taking your time out and then coming here amidst your busy schedules. I know how busy you ladies are as practicing lifestyle medicine physicians. So thanks for your time.
Thank you, Rajani, for
It's our
inviting us. Yeah, it's our pleasure.
So, this is something which is very new to us. So, what is this lifestyle medicine all about?
Um, Lifestyle medicine is a new branch of allopathic medicine.
Okay.
Now, if we go by the definition of lifestyle medicine, it is an evidence based, I'll stress on that word, evidence based approach where we try to prevent, treat, and sometimes even reverse diseases.
Super.
Yeah, by replacing our unhealthy behaviors with positive ones. So, this is the actual definition of lifestyle medicine.
This is
So,
something really new, Allah. Is it a part of, so it comes under the category of your regular medicine only, Allah?
So it's a kind of a nascent branch,
Huh.
in the sense the board of lifestyle medicine is itself established in the U.S. We don't have one yet here. We have a branch called the Indian Society of Lifestyle Medicine. It's established in the last 10 years or so. The need was noticed among the allopathic physicians,
Oh.
who then came together to formulate a kind of a structured approach to applying lifestyle changes in regular medical practice.
and the kind of disorders that we are dealing here are what we call as non-communicable disorders, or in short form, it's called NCD.
Okay.
Okay,
First
and
of all, I wanted to, before we come to that non communicable disorders, what made you people, come to terms with, having to choose this field while you always have been in another field of specialization for over 2.5 decades? You being a pathologist and you being in the OBG and then, specialized in fetal medicine. What made you people, come to this field? Leaving or maybe, practicing it simultaneously.
my journey started actually with our daughter wanting to become a vegan.
Uh-huh.
She was doing this for more from the environment aspect. She said it's not planet friendly, and so she didn't want to have any more animal food in her diet, because we are all I can say strict carnivores. We were eating non-veg almost 3 times a day sometimes, and it was a huge shift for her to not have that, because that's what I was cooking. Fortunately for me, she was in the hostel, so only when she came, I had to sit and cook. And when the COVID hit, she started staying with us. So that's when I had to kind of cook vegetarian when she's there. So I said, why not I also try becoming a vegetarian? And I first became a vegetarian. Then I said, yeah, why not? I also love to, have something good for the planet. So I decided to become a vegan with my daughter.
What a major shift, Allah.
Yeah, that was a huge shift. And as I was going through, I got to know that through another friend of mine who was in the US, and she was, getting herself board certified in this new branch called lifestyle medicine. And when we started getting to talk, and I found out that there is actually some science behind this kind of eating, and that there is more to it, not just about the eating, that there is more to it, and it does impact our health in more than one ways. And that's when I started getting more interested in it, and I went on to study for it and then get myself board certified for.
Super.
So yeah, I've been practicing obstetrician gynecology, and I was increasingly seeing a lot of my patients coming with the NCDs that she mentioned, and kind of diabetes mellitus and gestational diabetes, which is diabetes in pregnancy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and and I had to tell them, and infertilities, and younger girls with what we now call as PCOS or PCOD, the polycystic ovarian disease. And to all of them, I had to tell them, you got to lose weight because weight is not good on you. And I would always struggle to keep optimum weight. So in one such journey, I came across a naturopath who suggested a whole food plant-based dietary lifestyle. And that is when I was a vegetarian always, but then kind of literally overnight I gave up milk and milk products because he opened my eyes to the ill effects of the dairy in our diet.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah. And then I noticed major changes in my health. I was an asthmatic. I was no more an asthmatic after a while. My psoriasis and migraines went away. And then my weight settled to a good normal one without much effort, you know. Not that I had to work out a lot, just eating healthy. And I wasn't on any diet or so. I was just eating healthy. And then I started telling my patients, and then I think about 4-5 years ago, my husband was diagnosed to have diabetes. And that's when I said, look, there is a way we could go, full hog. You could go, because I was already following this lifestyle. He said he would drink his coffee with milk, etc. I said, see, you have the option. I see your numbers. You're diabetic, you're hypercholesterolemic. You can take 4 pills from tomorrow, or we could try this. You could lose some weight, get your numbers better. And he said, no pills for me. Let me try whatever we are doing. We are in it, full on. And 4 years down the line, he's no more a diabetic.
Wow.
His weight is down 13 kgs. His cholesterol numbers are doing fine. And by sheer luck, a very good friend of mine, and I'm lucky to have her in my life, she was telling me about this lifestyle medicine course, which Dr. Anita, the friend she mentioned, was talking about. And then it resonated so much with what I was already doing. But there was no, there was no formal framework. I had not studied anything. I used to watch a lot of videos and read this and that and try to apply. And then it was COVID times. We were not very busy in our clinics. So we said, why not? And that's when we formally studied lifestyle medicine in over a year. And we did this board certification. So we are a few of the board certified. The board is the American Board of Lifestyle Medicine in India. And we did a 1-year course, took an exam, and then we got certified. And so formally educated in this branch called lifestyle medicine.
Super. Super. So nice to hear the story itself, it's so motivating and inspiring. I hope, all of us by the end of the session would be, getting into your principles of lifestyle medicine to have a better living also. So now if we have to ask you about what is the difference between a life coach and a lifestyle medicine practitioner?
So a life coach and lifestyle medicine physician, there are a few commonalities.
Apart from, being certified from this board specifically.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is the thing. The common things from what I understand as to who a life coach is, that both of us are trying to promote wellness in people. The life coach will be looking at it from promoting what the client wants as their life goals. They'll want to probably improve their career prospects, about taking, having self-care. It focuses more on positive psychology and basically a wellness of that person. In lifestyle medicine, we are taking the health of the person. So sometimes they have some illness, sometimes they don't have an illness. Like you said, we want to prevent, right? So in that aspect, we are certified to be taking care of sick people because we have a medical background.
Correct.
And also helping people prevent any illness. And we are not just we have something called as 6 pillars in our lifestyle medicine. We focus on the wellness of the patient based on these 6 pillars of the client.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, can we just get an insight on, what are these non-communicable disorders that you were talking about, which fall under the umbrella of this lifestyle medical practitioners?
Yeah. So, if you think about the disease profile over, say, the last century, what ailed us about 100 years ago? What, took people's lives were probably, apart from, being starvation and lack of nutritious diet, was mostly infections. There were plagues, there were malarias, there were typhoids. And then the advent of newer medications came up, the antibiotics, and there was so much research. So infections are now easily treatable, and infections are the communicable disorders. That is, they spread right from one person to another. These are non-communicable. So these have become the bane of the population today. So probably then 80% of the diseases were infections, probably 10 to 20% of were these chronic disorders, whereas now it's the ratio has literally changed, right? It is less than 20% could be the infections. We still talk about dengue and this happening, but we know they're all treatable. We have the medications, but because there's so much of shift in the way we live, there is these non-communicable diseases, which are also called as lifestyle disorders, have
Okay.
come into the picture. And they are diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, which are the major killers of today.
Oh, seriously, even cardiovascular falls under this
Yes, heart disorders.
disorder.
That is the most important killer of the present day. Even during COVID times, heart attacks killed more people than
Correct.
COVID itself.
Correct.
And yes, heart attack is a lifestyle related disease completely. Professor Caldwell Esselstyn, who was one of the pioneers who talks about lifestyle, I think he started doing his research way back in the 90s. He was a surgeon who did a study in a group of people who were considered that they could not undergo a bypass surgery. They were not even candidates for heart surgery anymore, and they were kind of, okay, you can live your last days peacefully and die. So he took them and put them through a lifestyle change program, and so showed that these things could be reversed with this. So he said, that's his famous quote, which he says that, nobody need die of heart disease if you live right.
Oh, so deep.
Yes.
So good. Wow. Such a beautiful way to narrate it. Thank you so much for it. Made it so interesting, for any listener to actually understand, assimilate, and also, I'm sure, to remember. Ma'am, you were talking about the pillars of
Yeah.
the backbone of the lifestyle medicine.
Yeah.
So what are they, and then could you kindly explain to us in detail, or however a layman should be able to understand?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite easy to understand. It's just a framework on which we work. Each one has a long, thing to be told. One thing is the whole food, plant-based dietary way of eating. Dr. Veena had just mentioned about the whole food, plant-based. So that is one of the pillars. The nutrition, what we are focusing on. Second thing is having regular exercise. The exercise part of all of us, whatever we need to be doing. Third one is the restorative sleep. Yeah. Fourth one is avoiding any of the risky substances or what we call as addictions. That one we need to avoid. The fifth pillar is emotional resilience or stress management, another way to put it. And the sixth one is the positive social connectivity. So all six of them are equally important. We can't say one is better than the other. And if you look at it, they are all free except for a small amount you have to spend on nutrition, and they have no side effects.
Correct.
Yeah, so these are the things that we focus on and help our clients get better and prevent illnesses.
ಎಷ್ಟು ಈಸಿ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಕೇಳಿದಾಗ. ಐ ಮೀನ್ ವೈ ಆರ್ ವಿ ಸ್ಟ್ರಗ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ವಿತ್ ಸೋ ಮೆನಿ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಈಚ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಸೊಸೈಟಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಅಟ್ ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಸಿಕ್ಸ್ ಪಿಲ್ಲರ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಅ
Gone
ಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್
wrong.
ಕನ್ಸರ್ನ್ ಇನ್ ಆರ್ ಲೈಫ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಈಗ if we are talking about the nutrition, plant-based nutrition that you're talking about, we are mostly assuming that majority of us are vegetarians. Despite being vegetarians, why do we really have these kind of disorders like BP, hypertension, I mean diabetes, etc., etc.? These are the, I mean, ಮುಂಚೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ನಾನ್ ವೆಜಿಟೇರಿಯನ್ ತಿಂದಾಗ ಅದು ಫ್ಯಾಟ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಸೊ ಡೈಜೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಕಷ್ಟ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಸೊ ದೇ ಆರ್ ದ ಒನ್ಸ್ ಹು ಆರ್ ಪ್ರೋನ್ ಟು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ದಿಸ್ ಒಬೆಸಿಟಿ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್. ಅಂಡ್ ವೆಜಿಟೇರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿ ನಾವು ವೆಜಿಟೇರಿಯನ್ ಫುಡ್ನ ಕನ್ಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ಮೇಲೂ why are we falling prey to these kind of disorders today?
So probably I should begin by telling you what is a better way to eat. I'm not, before we say is vegetarianism is good or non-vegetarianism is good. What we advocate in a lifestyle medicine approach is to eat whole food, plant-based diet. It's kind of self-explanatory, but I would still like to elaborate a little bit. Now, whole food is something which is minimally processed, which is not processed, right? So, there's nothing like an ingredient list on this food. So, rice, a grain, a whole, a fruit, a vegetable, that is in its whole form. But the moment you process it, you make a flour, you make you juice a thing. So you are there's some kind of processing sets in. And it starts losing its goodness, right? So we try to ask you to eat whole foods as much as possible and plant-based. You yourself did mention that non-vegetarian food leads to obesity, etc. So, and Prathima did talk about the environmental impact, the reason why her daughter went vegan. So it is now known more than ever that a plant-based diet is beneficial not only for us, but for the planet as well. To elaborate a little more, we all at least, are... Yes.
What is the right diet that one has to consume to be able to have that kind of a better health?
Yeah. So that's what I'm going to explain to you. We're not going to give you a diet. You all have heard about diets, a keto diet, a paleo diet, a GM diet, an Atkins diet, and so on and so forth. So we just want you to explain to you what should be there on your plate and what should not be, right? Now, plant-based is anything which comes from plants, right? That way, when you say vegetarian, remember you are a lacto-vegetarian. So your curd, your milk, your paneer, your cheese, your ghee does not come from the plants, right? So that is where we differ from being vegetarian versus whole food plant-based, right? And even a vegetarian could be eating a packet of Lay chips, right? It's perfectly plant-based potato, right? But it is processed, it's packed in a factory, it has got additives, it has got many ingredients which you would not find in your kitchen. So certain chemicals, certain nature identical flavoring substances, stabilizers, so synthetic emulsifiers which will not be found in a regular kitchen. So that is what, when I say whole food, it is not refined, not processed. You understand that this is how our grandmothers and great-grandmothers did the cooking. What she cannot identify from your ingredient list is probably not something what you should be eating. So I would like to make you understand in a kind of a traffic light system. So there are green light foods are something you can eat in plenty, right? All whole foods. And what are they? Whole grains, beans, legumes, fruits, vegetables. Eat as much as you want. Eat your fill. No problem. And all the plant-based foods are beneficial because they have large amount of fiber, which is zero in any animal foods. And fiber is really our friend in many ways. Okay, it would take one entire hour for us to speak to you about the benefits of fiber. And they also have important chemicals like phytonutrients, polyphenols, which are found only in the plant kingdom. Vitamins, minerals, everything which we need in plenty. And you don't have to take it through the animal kingdom. Many animals eat the plants, eat the grass, and then they give us their products and we say those are good. Why don't we get them from the plant kingdom ourselves? Why do we need a intermediary, right? And most importantly, even if you're a vegetarian, if you're eating processed and sometimes what we call as ultra-processed. Ultra-processed foods are... So I told you about the traffic light, I told you about the green light. Now these fall into the red light, which you should probably avoid completely. So what
Discard.
Absolutely. What falls into this are animal products, including dairy. Now, why do I say that? Because they are very high in saturated fats, cholesterol, and they have no fiber. Right? So that is why animal products are not essential in a healthy diet. And also ultra-processed plant foods. Ultra-processed foods are those which are manufactured in an industrial setting with certain ingredients which we use in our kitchen, which we use in our regular diet, with the addition of number of chemicals and other ingredients which are not used in a daily cooking menu. Right? And these chemicals can be hugely detrimental to our health. They prolong the shelf life of the food, but they probably are reducing your shelf life. Right? And these are known to be what are called as endocrine disruptors. We have an important system called the endocrine system. And they are very sensitive to these chemicals. Right? They are known to be endocrine disruptors. So, and whenever you're processing or ultra processing, I told you about the fiber being our friend. The fiber is completely removed from it. So if you keep an apple, over a week it's going to rot away. And one of the reasons is the bacteria acting upon the fiber in the apple. You having apple juice from a carton, because they have removed all the fiber from it, it has a long shelf life.
My God.
But you live blissfully unaware of this and think that you're having apple juice. So that is why processed and ultra-processed food should be in the red light zone. And you have minimally processed foods, like, and certain plant foods like nuts and seeds, which are again very calorie dense. So you should use them like an orange light. Stop and be mindful. Use it, with care.
God.
So this is what we talk about when we talk about a whole food plant-based diet. Right?
ಎಷ್ಟು ಬ್ಯೂಟಿಫುಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಎಷ್ಟು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ.
The reason why you said that Indians, we are vegetarians, but we still have a huge burden of disease is because in the last probably 40-50 years, we have changed the way we eat. Right? Because with the advent of industrialization, urbanization, globalization, or whatever you want to call it, we are eating a lot of processed junk. And with the, increase, for example, the milk revolution happened. So there is a glut of milk and milk products. So my patients come and tell me, no doctor, I don't use much oil. I use only ghee. It's full of saturated fat. Right? So that is why you can be an unhealthy vegetarian too. So it is the quality of food, the quantity of food.
I'd like to ask you, but supposing, we want to use all these oil or fat, because I can remember myself in the kitchen now, when you said somebody was saying that, they use ghee instead of oil, olive oil anta ankotivi. So how do we actually prepare the food in minimal quantities, athwa absolutely to avoid how?
See, what would be ideal, life is, world is never ideal, is you can even cook without oil. Right? Both of us do. Yeah. But
seriously?
Yeah.
Yes. We do not have
We don't have oil in our house.
My God.
Yeah. But too, you can use it minimally because that still could be, it is a processed food because we have removed the fiber out of the olives. You can eat olives, but you don't have to remove all the fiber and eat only the oil, the fat. You can eat the groundnuts. You can eat the coconut. But you have thrown away the hindi tegdu, you give it to your cattle, the fiber, and you eat only the fat. But if you have to use it minimally. Right? The WHO says you can use up to 2 teaspoons or half a liter per person per month of any oil, anything that you want to use. In that you choose wisely. If for example, things like coconut oil, palm oil, they have a higher amount of saturated fat. Ghee is only saturated fat, ghee, butter, etc. So you got to choose wisely. Make your choices.
Super.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks. What a revelation, ನಿಜವಾಗ್ಲೂ. ನನಗೆ ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದ ಅಷ್ಟೂ ನಾನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂಥರ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಗಿಲ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತಿದ್ದೀನಿ. Honestly, ಅಕ್ಕಿ ರೊಟ್ಟಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ that's what came to my mind immediately. How would anybody be able to make ಅಕ್ಕಿ ರೊಟ್ಟಿ without, any kind of usage of oil?
So see, for example, you are used to making 3 holes in an akki roti and putting 1 teaspoon of oil in that. Now you can get what are called as misters or sprayers. So use very little of that. It doesn't have to be. I told you to use 2 teaspoons. So if you're 3 of you in a house, take 6 teaspoons, put it in a bowl, and say, this is what I'm going to use for everything during the day. And over a period of time, you'll realize it's very simple. It's not that difficult at all.
Okay, I'll try.
So, and supposing in your akki roti, you could add some, kind of a nut butter. You can add some coconuts, grind some coconuts and add into it. Or you could use, I don't know if peanut butter or cashew butter would help. What are nut butters? We have taken nuts and we have ground them to form a semi-solid kind of thing called nut butter. Okay, so we have not extracted the fiber and thrown it. So, of course, this is an orange light food. You got to use it minimally. So, you need the fat. About 20 to 30% of your calories can come from fat. But it has to be a healthy fat. It has to be still whole food.
Super. I'll try. Definitely. I think, this is a very valid information that should go out to the public. Health as a priority thing today.
And please understand that your taste buds are, taste is two things. One is the taste and second is a memory associated with it. So every time you've made something the way we asking you to, you should not relate it to nan munche martidda akki roti business. You have to say, is this tasty? It could be a different taste. Fine, your akki, this is a new akki roti that you're going to be eating, right? And you got to do this consistently because it takes about 21 to 28 days for all your cells to be, the taste buds, they'll be replaced by new cells because these cells are, getting changed every day. So, if you do that consistently for a period of time, your taste buds change and they get used to the newer taste and you enjoy it.
Super. Absolutely. We will try. See, doctor, if we have to move to the next pillar that you were discussing about, the sleep. It's believed that many youngsters today feel that, sleeping is waste of time. May not be everybody, but people who are aiming to, get better and better and better in their career and then wanting to be, achievers. So what would you say, how important is sleep? And then what's the kind of ideal duration that one has to sleep for? And quality sleep, if you have to explain to us about, what would be that?
Okay, so it is, yes, people do think that sleeping is a waste of time and nothing could be further from truth, right? Because a restful sleep is a prescription of wellness. Your body will thank you for it.
Wow.
Okay, so when you sleep, there are about 11 systems, your body systems, like a digestive system, endocrine system, your nervous system, including your skin, your immune system. There are 11 systems which are being benefited because there's a lot of repair and restoration that is going on.
Recovery.
Yes. Okay. Literally, the brain undergoes considered to be a janitorial, effect going on. Your brain is getting cleaned during the sleep, right? And there are, if you go to the endocrine system, there are about 8 hormones which come into play during sleep. And they are essential in many things, like the growth hormone. In children, it will be the growth. For us, it's repair. If you have worked out, exercised heavily, if you have not had a good sleep, then those muscles don't have the time to recover because the growth hormone needs to come in and the muscles have to rebuild. There are important hormones called leptin and ghrelin. Now, leptin and ghrelin are the satiety and the hunger hormones. So, leptin ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆದರೆ satiety ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ghrelin ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆದರೆ ಹಶ್ವಾಗುತ್ತೆ. So, when you have sleep deprived, your leptin goes down and your ghrelin goes up. That means you'll be feeling more hungry. And you also feel hungry for unhealthy junk foods. These are studies. I'm not speaking through my hat.
ಹೌದು, ಇವಾಗ ನಾವು ಮಲ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಕ್ ಮುಂಚೆ ಸಪೋಸಿಂಗ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಎಲ್ಸ್ ಟು ಡೂ ಅಂದರೆ ನಾಟ್ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್, ಮೇ ಬಿ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ವಾಚಿಂಗ್ ಟಿ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಇವಾಗಂತೂ ಒಂದು ಅಭ್ಯಾಸ ಆಗಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಹಿಂಗೆ ರೀಲ್ಸ್ ಏನೋ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋವಾಗ ಆಗ ಒಂದು ಚಿಪ್ or pup should be there next to you for it's a very good combination to just sit and watch and then eat nibble on it ಅನ್ನೋ ಇದ್ರೆ
Yeah.
ಕರೆಕ್ಟು. ಆವಾಗ ಯು ಡೋಂಟ್ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಆಫ್ your fruit or your vegetable or your food that you have cooked in the kitchen. You only think of a chocolate by your side or a chip by your side. Yeah, go on.
And it's also carries on to the next day. If you're sleep deprived today, you eat badly the next day. You eat more the next day.
Okay.
So obesity, it can lead to hypertension. It can be detrimental to your health, heart health, and your blood vessel health. Heart diseases are more common in sleep deprived people, right? So Alzheimer's. So there are many things a sleep deprivation can ultimately lead to. Yeah, so that is why it's extremely important for all of us to get 7 to 8 hours of good night's sleep. About a third of our life has to be invested in sleeping to live the other 2/3 better. Yeah. So, and the next question, how do we improve our quality of sleep? So there are certain things which are called as sleep hygiene, right? You got to have a ritual, in the sense you got to have timing for that, right? People say, okay, I have my breakfast at 8, I have dinner at whatever. You got to sleep also in certain period of time, and our body is meant to follow what we call as a circadian rhythm. That is the rhythm of the sun. So when the sun goes down, our body starts slowing down, our metabolism slows down, and the sleep hormone called melatonin starts getting secreted, right? So the peak is around 10 o'clock. So you go to bed by 10 and sleep for the next 7 to 8 hours and wake up by 5 or 6 in the morning. It's not the same to sleep from 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. as 10 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Correct.
They're both 8 hours, but the effects are very, very different on your body. So it has to be, and you have to have a set time as much as possible every day. Okay? And you exercise during the day, especially in the morning hours, with exposure to sunlight is very good to induce sleep in the night.
Very well.
Right? And having caffeine, you heard Prathima say she won't drink any caffeine after 3. Caffeinated drinks in the late afternoon can interfere with your sleep. People might say, oh, Anand, I don't mind having a coffee and going to bed. Your quality of sleep will not be good. You might fall asleep, right? Your quality of sleep will not be good. Don't go to bed on a heavy stomach, right? At least 2 hours before your bedtime. Do not use blue light at least for an hour or 2 before bedtime. Blue light is television, telephone, tablet, etc., etc. Why? Blue light reduces the melatonin secretion from your brain.
I am doing everything that shouldn't be done. Sorry, I will correct.
We are here because we want to create this awareness.
I'm sure, there must be
It's
many,
not that-
like me. So this is definitely going to be such a valuable talk that we are going to be having today to send out to the mass.
Exactly.
To, do it the right way.
Yes.
Honestly,
Yes.
Thanks, thanks for doing this, and explaining it so well in layers to be able to understand it also. And then it definitely is seeping in.
So you could read, you could listen to music, okay, but please do not use blue light devices, and try to have a bedtime ritual. Like, it might be meditation, it might be saying your prayers, it might be journaling about your day, being grateful for something through the day. So all these will help you fall asleep better. And your bedroom should be calm, quiet, and dark. Again, very important to keep the melatonin up.
So the bed light, the system of having a bed light in the room is not really advisable.
No.
Oh, super. Thank you so much. So if you have to now come to the next point of exercise, how important is it? And then for people who are unable to walk outdoors, especially the elderly people, given that we really don't have that kind of user friendly roads today or footpaths today, or even to get to the park, it is so difficult for them to maneuver till there. Anthawರಿಗೆ, and also for all others, how important is exercise in the life of everybody, to have a better life?
Yeah. Exercise is medicine.
Acha.
You can equate it to medicine, because in so many conditions, they have tried to see whether without giving medications, can it be improved? And it has. They have tested and have found out that without giving medication, things like sleep, things like, people who have insomnia, so sleep, depression, many of these mental illnesses, so we say, can be kind of just treated with just some amount of exercise. So now the next question will be, what is exercise? And I mean, many people will confuse physical activity with exercise. But there is a difference.
That's what even I thought. So.
Yeah. So physical activity is what we do. Even if I just move my hand, this is physical activity. Any movement done by you is physical activity. So you may be, doing your housework. You may be doing the laundry. You may be washing your vessels. You may be just sweeping, swapping, whatever in the house. All those things will be equal to physical activity. Okay? Now, when we talk about exercise, it's a structured, intentional movement which you keep time for it and you do it specifically for X number of hours with this kind of intensity. That is exercise.
Appa.
Okay? So no matter how much physical activity you've done, it is good. I'm not saying that you have to negate the physical activity. That is also good, what we call as the non-exercise activity thermogenesis. NEAT, NEAT is what is the short form. That also counts, but what is important is this exercise, right? And we can broadly put them under 4 categories when we are talking about exercise. Now, before I go into what type of exercise, let me tell you what exercise does to your body.
Correct.
Why are we saying that exercise is important? First and foremost, it of course helps you reduce weight. It keeps your BMI in check. It is one of the factors where, all doctors will say, change your lifestyle, exercise, eat better, all
change
that
your
they will
lifestyle,
say.
Change your lifestyle. Today I'm understanding what is that lifestyle.
Exactly.
Ella lifestyle changes ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. So today we're absolutely sitting here to really understand the layers of what are these lifestyle changes that the doctor is expecting out of a patient.
Yes. So
Yeah.
that's the thing. So, so for your thing. Second thing is, so many cancers can be avoided by just exercise. They have done research and they found out things like breast cancer, ovarian cancers, some bladder cancers, and even some colorectal cancers. They can be kind of prevented, or even if they've got it, you can keep them at bay. With medications, you have kind of treated them. Then if you introduce this, you can see that, they don't recur again. Then, of course, the heart health. We can't stress more on how good it is for the heart, right? So we need exercise for the heart health. The other thing is, Dr. Veena already mentioned, having a good night's sleep. You work out, then you get that restorative sleep, which is so beneficial, right? We have heard about that. And then it is also required for our bone health, strengthening our bones in the elderly, in the women, especially after they have attained menopause. We say that they have to have more calcium.
Correct.
Right? Yes, the calcium can come from the food. We don't need to pop the pills. It can come from the food. But what actually drives this calcium into your bones is your exercise, what we call as strengthening exercises. These, the bones are constantly remodeled through our life, right? From our birth to, till we pass away, the bones are being remodeled. And this push and pull when we are exercising is what keeps them strong, puts the calcium into the bone and makes you more sturdy.
Arey wah.
Okay? So that is very much required. The other thing is, in the elderly, especially in the elderly, because of your exercise and you're strong and your core is all strong, it prevents falls. Many times, most of the things what elderly face is falls, and they fracture their bones, right? So this kind of the exercises that we are asking you to do, it can be prevented. And they have done actual studies, and they have found that depression, we can avoid depression just by having a good exercise routine in place. There are so many hormones that are secreted when the exercise is done, what we call as especially the endocannabinoids. They are the feel-good hormones. So these are secreted when you do the exercise, and so your depressive symptoms come down. Stress. If we're talking about stress, yes. So exercise, when we are actually supposed to be, we are having stress, one way we can do is to actually stress, we'll be coming to that pillar later. You're supposed to be moving. When you're supposed to run, what we call as the fight flight. So keep walking, keep exercising, so your stress levels comes down. When you're using those things which is meant for running away, you're using it to exercise, your stress level comes down. Then two most other important things which many times we are not discussing is, especially in diabetics, exercise drives the glucose into the muscle cells. Generally, we need insulin to go and attach to the cell, and then it opens the gate, and then the glucose comes into the cell, and then the glucose level in your blood goes down, because from the blood it's going into your muscle cell, right? But exercise can increase the receptors for this glucose that you don't even need the insulin. It just goes into your muscle cells. So it's so important for people who have diabetes to exercise. The other thing that is now recently found out is people with dementia. It is not just that you are developing muscles, you are increasing the connections in your brain when you exercise. This is a new thing, what we call as neuroplasticity. So they've seen that exercise increases. That's why it's so important that all of us, including the elderly, need to continue to do this exercise. There's no shortcut to it.
Wow.
Okay?
Hey, out of my personal curiosity that I want to ask you, would you know any of those small little exercises that that any patient with dementia could do to have slightly better days than yesterday?
Yeah. Just walking.
Huh.
And there are some small exercises that we tell our clients, what we call as exercise snacking. Few things, what you just sit and you just lift your leg and down. You just try to get up. Either, if they can't use the support, getting up and sitting. In fact, being sedentary is equal to smoking. I'm sorry,
really?
but yes.
Sitting is a new smoking.
Yeah, it's equal to smoking. So if you're going to be sitting for more than an hour, we generally ask our clients to get up, go around for a couple of minutes, and then come back and sit. Especially these days, because most of them are having the work on the computers and their
Correct.
thing. So we ask them to have a standing desk so they can continue their whatever. If they're having meetings and all that, they can have a standing desk and work from there. If you're talking on taking a call, walk around. Have your call just walking around, so that you're not sitting continuously for some time. So there are a few exercise snacks which we help them to do. That helps. Post meal, all of us we'll feel heavy, we just go and sit. We need to walk at least for 15, if more it's better, but at least 15 minutes soon after we have our food.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very important that, especially after the
Rajni,
night
what are you
dinner.
doing with your life is the kind of feeling that I'm getting.
So post dinner especially, we just like to go in front of the TV, switch it on, and then we sometimes even fall asleep just watching TV. So we need to inculcate this consciously, to not just go and sit soon after our meals, whichever meal we have.
Wow.
Okay.
Thank you so much. So, Doctor, you were explaining to us about the exercise and its importance. So, if we have to ask you about the kinds of exercises, what are they?
So we can put them under 4 broad categories. One is the aerobic exercise. Second one is the strength and conditioning or the resistance exercises. Third one are the flexibility, flexible exercises. And fourth is the balance exercise. So these 4 broad categories are there and all 4 are important. First one, of course, aerobic is very self-explanatory, where we are either walking or we are jogging, running, swimming, cycling. All these are aerobic activities where, the endurance, you are kind of able to burn calories, so to say. And the WHO has prescribed that adults need to have at least 150 to 300 minutes of moderate intensity activity per week. So when I say moderate intensity, to put it in very simple terms, when you're doing this workout, you should be able to talk but not sing. So if you're walking with somebody, your speed should be such that you're able to talk to that person. You're not like kind of breathless.
Panting.
You're able to talk to that person, but you can't sing. Right? So that is the intensity. There are other measures also for it, but to put it in very simple layman terms, this is what we can use to measure whether it is of moderate intensity or not. Okay? The second type of exercise is the strength and conditioning or the resistance exercises. This is generally people go to the gym and do it, right? You lift weights and you need to work out and all. You do your upper body, you do your lower body, or you do your core exercises. All these are strength-based exercises. But you don't have to go to the gym to do this. You can do it at home. Either you have weights at home or you can just use your body weight, like squats, lunges, push-ups, all those exercises. We were doing the Iron Man and all those things, planks. All those things are things you can do at home and you don't need any equipment. You're using your own body weight to build the resistance and you're doing that. So, only thing we need to be a little careful when we are doing this is that you're having a proper form. Form in the sense when you're lifting the weight, how are you lifting the weight? Where should your leg be? Where should your hand be? How should your body be placed? All these things have to be looked into. So it is best if you can start with the trainer, and once you're okay, he's telling you that your form, because once you do it, you know that your form is okay, then you can continue doing it on your own. You can do it at home also. Okay, so we just need to be a little careful that we need our form to be in place, because if we injure our muscle, then we will not continue doing it. Correct. Or we may, have to really rest that muscle out, may not be able to use it. So we don't want to get over there. Second thing is, this is very important for women also, and they should not worry about bulking muscles, because that is not going to happen. We don't have the hormones where we'll get bulky muscles like the men. But it's very important that we do this, especially in post-menopause, after we've attained menopause. It is important that we keep, because we women especially the Southeast Asian women, we have something called, as not just women, even the men, we have something called as sarcopenia. That is, we have very less muscle. And this is something that is deleterious to our health. So we need to keep those muscles active. And they can be done only by doing these exercises, the strength training exercises. Even the elderly have to do it. Okay? But it is toned down to their level.
It's such a myth ಅಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಏಜ್ ಆದಮೇಲಿಂದ ವಿ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ದೆಮ್ ಲೈಕ್ ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ, ಇಷ್ಟು ವರ್ಷ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ಇನ್ನೇನು ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಸಚ್ ಅ myths that we all live in, Allah.
Right.
I mean, when you are talking about it, I can only think of people elderly in my family who've all been advised by their children to actually rest and not, of course, walking ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ಬೋದು, but then may not be as serious as it should be.
Nothing is further from the truth.
Yes.
They have to avoid falls, like she said. They have to keep their brains active, their muscles strong. They have to continue.
And the last 2 exercises are the flexibility and the balance. And our yoga is fantastic for that. it gives you the flexibility how much you can. You don't have to push your body, because not everybody is, it's not one prescription fits everybody,
Correct,
right?
huh.
So we have to go individually how much a person can do, but they have to push it to their maximum, how much they can do, and they should be okay, not push beyond that.
Correct.
So these flexibility exercises keep you from having falls, and the balance exercises. Yoga, once, some of the hatha yoga, those poses, you hold those poses, you stand on one leg, you do the tadasana, and all those exercises, they are all balance exercises. And then there's also tai chi. It's not very popular in India, but slowly it is gaining popularity. It's a more of Far East Asian kind of,
Meditative's kind of a exercise, though. Tai
what
Chi.
is it?
It
Movement.
Yeah.
That slow
Movement meditation, yes. Kind of, yeah. So, but those things are also very good for the elderly, and especially people with Parkinsonism and dementia. This Tai Chi exercises are very good.
Oh, super.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks for this segment of it. It's so relatable, because we have two of my family members who are actually going through this dementia, which is why I was asking you that question out of personal interest.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all four are important, and in some way, little bit, how much is possible, we need to help them do it.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you so much for this segment. Really, it was very interesting and informative also. So now, if we have to move to the next one, of course, we all know that, there are quite a lot of addictions, that we are aware of as a general public, like alcohol, it could be tobacco, it could be. But what are the new generation addictions that if any one of you could really talk about?
So addiction, what is addiction? So,
Getting used to something repeatedly.
yeah, it's a compulsive need to a particular behavior despite knowing the deleterious consequences of the
Abba.
behavior.
Correct.
Right? But you can't stop doing it. Yeah, we know about tobacco, alcohol. Everyone's well versed about the ill effects. So we're not talking about that. So you talked about the new age addictions. The two which come into my mind are, one is the digital addiction and second is the food addiction.
Food addiction also.
Yes.
Yeah.
So digital addiction, unfortunately, is really taking a toll, because in so many ways. For example, you told me about your pre-sleep ritual. So it's spoiling your sleep. It's taking time out of your sleep time, and it's the quality of the sleep is also suffering. So if people have many friends on Facebook or Instagram, they do not go out and meet their true friends, right? There are no connections with their people. So digital addiction is a real and true problem. Okay, so that is one of the new age addictions that we need to address. And second is, asked me about food addiction. Yes, food was food a few years ago. Now the industry has taken over. When the food industry comes into play, they care about their profits. They don't care about their health.
Correct.
When your mother was cooking for you, she cared for your health. When the food industry is supplying or a hotel is supplying, they don't care about your health. They want to make their profits. So, how does food become addictive? Do you know that the food industries have food scientists on their payroll, and they are paid to make the food more addictive, not more healthy?
Appa.
How one person would
How
buy more
dangerous.
than it is, right? So you have seen the Lays saying that you can't stop at one. You have, that is a tagline of the Lay chips. That is, they are making efforts to make you reach out for the next one. That is why I told you, when they are processing, they are adding three things which make them addictive: a combination of salt, sugar, and fat, which in nature you will not find this combination together in anything at all. You will have almonds, probably a few of them. If you soak them in water, eat it for good health in the morning, 4 or 5. But in the evening, along with your television, if you had salted almonds sitting there, you wouldn't know when you finished a whole bowl of it. Right? So you add these things, which when they come together, they make it addictive. Sugar is, unfortunately, it's literally a legal addiction, because studies have shown that when one person eats sugar, the same brain centers which are stimulated by cocaine are stimulated by the sugar
I
also.
guess so. I guess so because this reminds me of one of the incidents in my life. I can take so many examples from my own life. You know, there was a season, I think maybe 2-3 years back, not during the COVID, but prior to that, I think so. I was so addicted to having an ice cream every night. Now I get it.
Yes,
And
yes.
I would think,
It's not completely
it's
your
it's a
fault.
longing, like, at 8, 9, I would every day,
Crave.
in fact, that craving used to be so high that I would ask, please, last day, last day. That last day would last for about, a month or so until the summer was there, or even beyond that. And then I probably thought through, and then because I was actually, gaining weight and I had to consciously cut it down. Now I get when you're trying to actually explain to me, probably it has a relation, we
Yes,
wouldn't know what it
yes,
is
yes,
medically.
yes.
Sorry, I
No, no, it's
interrupted.
perfectly okay. So that is, you can relate to it when I tell you things. You always find hotel, food from when you buy from hotel. It's a little more salty than what you would use at home. That's because that is what makes you reach out for more. That is why food is also an addiction. So we need to address more dangerous addictions. Tobacco, alcohol, yes, and certain measures are in place. There are de-addiction methods are in place. Now we need de-addiction for our digital addictions and our food addictions.
Honestly.
Screen addiction is a thing. NIMHANS actually has a program for screen de-addiction.
Oh, seriously.
Yes.
Hats off. Instead of bringing up, any other food stall, they could also come up with, some food
Your
addiction centers.
Probably a food de-addiction center could be your own kitchen. Like we say that kitchen is your own pharmacy. You cook healthy, take the sugar out of it.
No, but for
Find it.
somebody who's already into it and are unable to help themselves to come out of it, if there's any place, or maybe they could come to you. You could advise them and then give them the tips, not to get into that habit.
Yeah.
And
It's not always your fault. Like you were craving because the sugar was making you reach out. Sugar, fat, both ice cream has both of it, right?
Thanks, doctor. That was really a revelation, honestly. And if we have to come about the stress, what is stress?
Yes.
Everybody is stressed today. You ask a tiny tot also who says, I am stressed. You can see so many reels which, are going viral where a kid of, just about a year or two, they know these jargons of stress. I am frustrated. All these things, if such a small child has it, I'm sure, everybody has it in some way or the other. So, what is stress?
Yeah, stress is 80% of a physician's visit. Why people come to physicians. If you look at the bottom line, it's because of stress. 80% of the time.
My God, huh?
Yeah. And uh, Dr. Hansel, he is an endocrinologist. He has very rightly put that it's not that the stress kills us, it's our reaction to it. And just to redefine stress, stress is something that is given to us, right? Stress is something that we are facing. Our reaction to it is the strain. So, what is actually harming us is the strain.
Yeah.
Stress is only the stimulus, right? But what we are feeling is the strain. So actually we should replace stress with strain. But it becomes, like you said, it's such a household name that if I say strain, nobody will understand. So it is better to leave the word as stress. So all world over, they have just stuck to that word stress. Okay?
Yeah.
So what is stress? If stress is there in nature, it is there for a reason, right? Stress was there to, anything that is there in nature is actually to help us to thrive, to become better, to go forward in life. So it was built into us to kind of keep ourselves safe from any attack by any wild animal. if you see, in the hunter-gatherers or when we were evolving, the only thing we feared was being eaten away by some wild animal. So when some animal is approaching, our stress hormones would just pump into us, either to make us fight the animal, stay back and fight the animal. If we are brave enough, do that. Or flight. Just run away as fast as you can from that animal. Or third one is we would freeze. We would just stand there and hope, say, please, let him not notice me, let him not notice me, let him just go past me. Right? So these were the actual natural reactions that we had. And based on this, our body would be the heart would be pumping faster because, it has to pump blood. And our blood pressure would go up because the blood has to reach our muscles fast because we need to run. Our sugars would go up because the sugar has to reach all the muscle cells for them to be acting, right? You would be sweating because your temperature is going up. So the body says, no, we have to cool the body down. So that will happen. And everything else, like your digestion is going to put on the back burner because no, running away from this animal is more important. Digestion. So all the digestive juices and all are, kind of put at bay. Like that's secondary. Reproduction, this is not the time to produce any children. We need to just safeguard our own interest. So you see, and supposing we were going to be bitten by this animal, then we shouldn't bleed to death, right? If we, it bit and so that's why our platelets would go up. So that if the bleeding is there, the contraction, the blood will clot fast. So all these, what we are seeing, what we call as inflammatory markers, okay, we call it as inflammatory markers, is what happens when there is a stress. Now, the animal came, you ran, you saved yourself, and you're sitting. Everything goes back to normal. Right? Your blood pressure will come down, your heart will start think, okay, now there is time to think, we'll eat, okay, the digestion system will take place, now that we can have children, we can do this, everything. But imagine if this kind of situation, with the present kind of stress levels that we are having, is there 24 hours. Okay?
Sad.
So your blood pressure has gone up, it remains up. Your heart is beating so fast, it can't go on beating so fast, so you're going to have cardiac problems. Your liver is going on pumping sugar into the blood, so there's no doubt that you will get diabetes because it's constantly high. Your digestive system has taken a beating because it's not being given any importance, so you have all digestive issues, you have bloating, you have gas, you have acidity. Then there is thing of, we are all infertile. We need to take infertility treatment because,
correct,
right? Then you have strokes. You have heart attacks because the platelets they are all high in number, right? So there's a
inflammation.
The inflammation that is there. So it is going to cause strokes. It's going to cause blockade in the coronary arteries, so you can get heart attacks. So every part of your body is going to be affected by this stress. So this is the background.
What a fine storyteller you are,
Oh, thank you.
What a fine storytellers both of you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is what is causing our stress, right? We think. Now, what do we do so that we can cope? Like I said, we need to cope with the stress, right? So what is it that we need to do? There are many things that we are saying that we need to meditate. Because you just observe your thoughts, then the second part of meditation, the bigger thing is being mindful, where you are in the here and the now. You're just doing what you're doing, what we call as the flow. We just being there, we're just observing. I'm just being here in the studio, I'm observing what is there, and I'm just immersing myself in this. As we are talking, it's a flow. It's just coming out. There's no break to it. You are kind of, at the end of it, you're like, yes, I did it. That kind of feeling. Then we need to exercise. Like I said, the hormones are, wanting you to run and this and that. So what if you use those things to exercise? And many times we have a lot of, we have any problems or something. You just go out for a walk, you go up and down and you walk. Sometimes you come up with a solution. Because that rewiring has
True.
happened when you did that.
True.
So many times you do that, you are able
I
to
think
solve
the more
problems.
you are in closed doors, the more we sulk.
Yes.
I think when you go out and even see a sky, I think, it
Yes.
kind of
Yes.
heals you. Allah.
Connecting with nature.
Yeah.
It that is really required. Going out, being in nature. What the Japanese used to call it Shinrin Yoku. They call it Shinrin Yoku. Just
Forest
being.
walking.
It's called forest bathing.
Oh.
Yes, another word for it is that. So you just are out there, even just, having these plants around you, looking at, giving you the feeling of nature is also very soothing. Then also you have to have a restorative sleep, right? Even Stephen Covey in his book says, 7 Habits, he says, sharpen the saw. So you need to rest and give rest. Many times you say, sleep over it. Right? And next morning you have like, oh yes, it was there staring in my face. Why didn't it occur to me?
Yeah.
Right? So these things help to think. But of all these things, what we have to give a lot of importance to is what we call as cognitive flexibility. Now, what I mean by this, it seems a very complicated term. What I mean is, you start rethinking, you start reassessing, you think differently from another perspective. We don't try to apply the same old formula to something, think of something different, and it helps to cope with your stress. So, the things are acceptance.
Absolutely. 100%. I agree. Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Gratitude. Being thankful for whatever you have, having some forgiveness where
Absolutely.
whatever has happened in life for you, you are forgiving, not that you are saying what he or she did was okay, but it is for your health, for your goodness, for your wellness, you forgive.
Yes.
Even if you don't, you write a letter of forgiveness and keep it, and you see how you feel about it.
My God.
Right? You just say, in your mind, you say, I forgive that person. You don't have to meet that person. You just say, it gives you peace.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
And of course, humor.
Ah.
Laugh it. I mean, there is humor in everything, and even if in the most worst situation, if you can laugh, there's nothing like it. Right?
Absolutely.
So laughter will still be the best medicine that you can give yourself. And we always say our thoughts are what make us. And if we have positive thoughts, we always keep saying, everybody tells positive thought, positive thinking and all that, but it actually is true.
It's true.
We need, in our mind, we have something called as the limbic system, which is our emotional part of the brain. It is always listening. So it will do what you tell it to do. So if you say, I'm going to be happy, your limbic system is going to make you happy. So we need to keep changing our thoughts.
And sometimes, it comes true also. What you think is what's going to really come true also.
Yeah. So the kind of self-talk we do, what we tell ourselves is so, so very important.
Wow.
Yeah.
Superb. I now know why you're called the lifestyle medical practitioners. Because you know to say it and then with so much conviction, with the science behind, with the authority and with the papers and the research work that it has all, gone into it to make it speak with so much of confidence and then making all of us understand also and relate to it also and then believe in it also and then probably practice it also. Thank you so much. And to come to the last segment or maybe one step before the last segment, the last pillar, social well-being. How important is it? Because today all of us live in nuclear families. So how important is it to have social connections? I don't know why, but today I'm feeling like, I sit on the other side of whatever you're trying to tell me because I'm not a huge social being as such. So, how important is social connections?
It can be put as one of the most important.
Oh,
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
So we saved the last, best for the last.
Best for the last.
Although, like I said, nothing
All
is,
of
you
them.
can't do one from the other, all are important.
And equally important.
Why we are saying that this? Because it's least addressed. We take it for granted. We think that yes, relationships are there, it is meant to be there. We don't give any importance to it. That's why I'm saying that it is one of the most important ones. And no clinic is going to ask you how good is your.
20 years back, or maybe 3 decades back, I was such a social butterfly. I'd be seen everywhere talking to everybody, such a people's person. But I don't know, with years I have slowed down and I have very minimal friends who I can really bank upon to talk. And then of course I talk to them whenever I feel low. Of course, with family it's always there. But I really don't have that kind of a friend circle what I had long ago.
Yeah, so to rest in solitude is to rest in pain. So it's like, you're actually, it's as good as having pain in you. And loneliness is the latest disease, we can say, that is slowly grappling our world. In the UK, they have a department for loneliness because so many people there are lonely. But not to
Correct.
say India is far behind. 20% of our elderly are lonely.
Correct.
With most of the children having gone abroad or to other places in search of their fortunes, there are a lot of elderly who are left alone. And loneliness is equal to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It can be that dangerous. And man is actually a social being. We are meant, we are
Yeah.
meant to live in a tribe, to be together.
Yeah.
And the connectedness that we get is something where we feel that we are seen, we are heard, and we are valued. Okay, so when we are in a relationship, there is a give and take without any kind of a judgment. Yeah. And we have some kind of sustenance and some strength that we get when we are in a good relationship.
Correct.
Now, this is not what I am saying. There's a very famous psychologist, or a very famous personality called Brené Brown. She has told this, and she's revered a lot with most of her talks and all that. So this is very, very important, that we build relationship based on mutual respect, love, and trust.
Absolutely.
All of them are
Important,
important
yes.
because we are social beings, right? And there is something called as a hormone called oxytocin, which is the hormone which is secreted when the mother gives birth to the child. It's oxytocin is secreted, and it is called as a love hormone. That's the hormone that is secreted when the mother holds the child, and that bonding that happens is there. Similar thing happens when we are touching, we are cuddling, we are hugging. It need not be just with human beings. It can be just a pet also.
Oh,
So even that can give you some kind of connection, and you feel happy
wow.
about it. It is so important that we have this connection and relationships building. So just to give another study that has been done, it's one of the longest surviving studies that's happening. It's called the Harvard Longitudinal Study. Okay, this was started sometime in 1938 in the Harvard University, where they picked up these men, because that time they had only males as their students. They started studying about what kind of a life they were leading, and then they started including the people staying in and around Boston area. Then they took their wives into consideration, then they took their children, and then now their grandchildren, and all they've been doing studies. And they've seen that what is it that is keeping these people live long and happy. Okay, long, happy, and healthy. Okay, all these three things they have tried to see, and they found that the people who had the best relationships with their spouses when they were aged 50 are the happiest and the longest living when they are 80.
My God.
It is not their cholesterol levels, okay, but it is this relationship they had. And they have found that this is what is so important for people to be happy.
Wow.
Okay? And now we know that happiness will breed health.
Correct.
Right? So it equals to that. So this is why we need to insist on having good relationships.
Makes it so much more easier and meaningful to be able to understand this way, with validations from the medical records, and then coming from somebody who's an authority in that field, and to be talking about positivity. I mean, that's the difference I see with these medical practitioners versus the motivational speakers. I mean, here there is a record, there is a research, there is science, there is authority, there are books, and there are patients whom you have worked with and then seen that kind of results. And I think that's what makes you stand out from the rest of the other life coaches. It was super.
So you should see this. There's a Netflix series called Live to 100.
Huh.
It is based on something we call as the blue zones. There are 5 areas in the world which are spread throughout. Okay, there is Loma Linda in America, Nicoya in Costa Rica, Icaria in Greece, Sardinia in Italy, and Okinawa in Japan. Now, these 5 places, we've called them blue zones because they used to mark them with the blue dot. Okay. This Dan Buettner, he is a person who went around the world to see what is it that made people live happy and live long.
So the areas with largest number of centenarians. More than
people who
100
lived up to 100.
Yes.
Okay, and they are just walking, moving, talking, doing their normal things.
Abba.
They don't need to go to the gym. They are walking throughout their lives. They give a lot of importance to family life. They have a lot of importance. They are like a community. They eat mostly plants with a little bit of non-veg here and there thrown around, but not much. And they have something we call as a purpose, something that they are ikigai, yes, something they are looking forward, which gives a meaning to their lives. Okay, so this is something that he found, and imagine they are from different parts of the world. They are not in one area, and these were the commonalities that they were there, and it has been brought about very well in this Netflix series.
Oh my
So
God, I have to
I
watch
think
this.
we should all watch it. Yes,
Definitely.
yeah, and there's a book also he's written, Blue Zones. So that is also we can read. He's done phenomenal work on this line.
Thank you. Thank you for introducing us to so many other things also besides, the good health and well-being. So coming to the end of this podcast, I'm sure, our listeners would have had absolutely wonderful time listening to this meaningful conversation. If, like me, there are many who are actually leading a very unhealthy lifestyle, what would you suggest?
How long you're going to live is probably there in your genes and luck. But how well you're going to live is going to be decided by what you're going to put into your mouth and how well a good lifestyle you're going to lead. Yeah, so that is something I would say, and say that start small. one step at a time, and all of us started from there. And we can just
Every
build on
expert
it.
was once upon a time a beginner.
Yes, yes. And we can get there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So inspirational.
So like she said, the present day doctors who are actually not taking care of your health, but taking care of your sicknesses, right? They are called healthcare professionals,
That's
but you go to
correct.
them only after you fall sick. We are very good. I'm part of the tribe. We are very good at prolonging your lifespan, but it's important that you prolong your health span. So you are living not only long, but you are living healthy. You are not just dying slowly, which
Super.
is what happens when you have these non-communicable diseases that we talked about, right?
Wow.
So you said, where do we begin? So we talked about the 6 pillars, and we keep telling you that they're all equally important. And I'll also tell you that they're all interconnected,
Correct.
right? For example, I talked about the food. We told you eat whole food, plant-based diet. Now, it's fiber rich. Fiber also is very important for something called the microbiome, right? So microbiome is the gut bacteria. So you have healthy microbiome, so which releases, there's something called the gut-brain axis. You know, the gut and the brain are talking to each other through what
Oh.
are called as neurotransmitters. So their happy hormones are released. So if you eat well, you're going to feel happier, right? So you eat well, you're going to feel more energy in your body. You might feel wanting to exercise, right? You eat well, you're well digested, you sleep better. Okay. Or maybe you like to exercise. You begin there, like she
Yes.
told you. You sleep better. You're more hungry. You eat better. So you can start small in any of the pillars that you choose to do.
Correct.
You will slowly realize that they're all
They're all
interlinked.
interlinked, and then
And you
you
start
finally.
working on one, the others will start coming into play.
So true.
And every long journey begins with a small step, right? So take the first step, whatever it could be. And success is always an aggregation of small wins, right? So habits don't get formed overnight. So start small, but consistency is important, not the intensity. You asked why we shifted from, alternative, or we're doing simultaneously, because we both think that we might have found our ikigai in doing this, because this seems to be the future to keep a healthier nation, healthier planet even.
Yeah, just a small note. Everybody is looking for motivation as to, I need something to motivate me to do or to start and all that. We can suggest that you first need to find your why.
Why?
Why do I want to be healthy? So, when you find your why, we are here to show you the how.
How? And every action,
You guys are absolutely brilliant orators, and then, brilliant practitioners.
Thank you.
thank you.
Take a bow.
And every action you take is a vote for the person you want to be. So you take your call, what you want to be. So keep at it.
Thank you so much. Absolutely enjoyed it, thoroughly enjoyed it. More than a podcast today, I think, you've changed one person's way of thinking and to live a better life. And I'm sure, all those people will have so many takeaways from this, and they're going to definitely make those small little changes, like you suggested, to have a healthy life and a better life. Thank you so much, doctors. Thoroughly enjoyed. I'm absolutely overwhelmed with this.
Thank
It was
you.
our pleasure.
Thank you, Rajani.
Privilege to be
Yeah.
here.